So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about a big sweep and change that we've had recently in Master Duel, and you might not have noticed it, maybe you have. But the big thing that has happened recently is that we have gotten Primite and Malice, and like you probably haven't noticed it honestly, but if you think about it, Primite cards essentially they're very popular right now, and the Malice cards are decently popular as well. And both of these archetypes will not really together because they're not really played together, but because they're being played right now, it actually has increased the game health by a moderate amount. So first things first, now we have, because of Primite, well, this deck just eats stun for breakfast. So stun has fallen off a cliff, and they have not recovered since Primite Dragon Ether Brawl has dropped, and just Primite builds are pretty good in general for beating stun. So big props to Primite for carrying here, carrying, I guess, the fight against stun. So stun win rate dropping below 50% because Primite that did did solo, and then Malice actually beats just a bajillion different types of floodgates, that unironically. So beats might be a bit strong, but technically this deck is playable well just under macro. You know what wasn't really playable under macro? Literally every single deck before Malice dropped, that format. We were asking for a macro format. Like if you waited another 2 months, everyone's just going to be playing essentially just Kishtira. Like 30% of the player base will just start playing Kishtira and running macro and stuff. Yeah, that's probably the direction the game would have went unironically. So because Malice can actually play under, just macro, actual macro, Rise Heart, you can deal with that reasonably. You don't automatically win, right? But an actual game will be played more or less, right? Even if a shifter is dropped on them, a game will still probably be played to some extent. And then we have Primite, right? So the thing about this also is okay, I guess, into Kashtira. It's not one-sided at all. It could go either way for both these matchups, so that's cool, I guess. But the next thing, Droll, deck lockdown, Colossus, all of those floodgates, they don't do a thing here. And yeah, also worth mentioning, I guess, Ether Burl sets a Primite spell trap from your deck, so that actually outs Colossus by setting Drill Beam potentially. That just works. Sometimes I guess it depends on the exact hand, but you could normal summon Ether Burl, set Drill Beam, banish Colossus, and then you're done with the Colossus like that. And then with Malice, you can play around. I would argue that the two most disgusting floodgates you could be running. So we just have essentially just deck lockdown and macro. So essentially, if I'm going first, I can full combo, do literally any combo, and then I can drop a lockdown. Well, not literally any combo, but it's close to anything. Like Vanquish Soul and Flandries that play on your opponent's turn, they don't really work because you need to search on your opponent's turn, which is kind of dumb. But if you don't play on your opponent's turn like that, then you just drop a deck lockdown. Like after I do super heavy samurai full combo, I can drop deck lockdown or macro or fissure or whatever, and then I can just flip it over next turn, and then you have to deal with that and my endward. But you probably weren't going to be able to beat, maybe you could have beaten my endboard, but you already auto lose the macro anyway. So even if I end on half an endboard, you can't beat that. So it's an auto win going first essentially. If you open these cards, they are granted they're kind of useless going second. So the deck building with this gets a little bit muddy, but I could definitely see the game heading into this direction again. Speaking of which, deck lockdown, Centurion was playing this quite a while ago. Actually, not even that long ago. And also, they were running Tikaboo, I think. So, some builds might even be running Fissure, actually. But, yeah. We were heading into that direction again. And, because Malice, they're not really affected by, deck lockdown. They can play under macro. And also, Primite is kind of okay against actual macro effects, Arise Heart, that type of stuff, it's like fine against lockdown. And not so much. I mean, it's like situational. If you hard open like want a drill beam and also like you have a target to reveal, then I guess like it could work out. But aside from that, yeah, a lot of floodgates you would randomly drop onto your end board. Like not all of them. Like Protos is still pretty good because all dark. But think back to like I don't know last week, for example. Have you seen that many people dropping like a Colossus on you, a Rise Heart? A Rise Heart is probably the only thing you'd see because a Rise Heart is just an okay boss monster. Either way, it's just like a removal. It's essentially Raigeki break, pretty much. So yeah, we have. Well, I mean, assuming the macro effect doesn't matter, it's literally like a Raigeki break, pretty much. So we have Colossus, Deck Lockdown, Macrocosmos, Shifter. Have you been hit by any of those recently? Probably not. Droll and Lockbird. Probably also not getting hit by Droll and Lockbird that often. So, yeah. Pretty cool that we aren't seeing those cards as much because, yeah, I've been seeing those a lot and I just didn't want to see them anymore, period. It's not a matter of like if the cards are good or not, it's just I don't even want to be playing these cards really anymore. Like I'm sick of playing Deck Lockdown, I'm sick of playing Macro. But they're just too efficient to not play, but now that they're not as efficient, I can actually stop playing them. So that's a bit of appreciation for I guess Malice and Prima in general, just a little bit. But actually Macro is still like decently efficient, so maybe we haven't escaped from Macro just yet, and maybe it's just Deck Lockdown and Colossus. But yeah, whichever one it is, it's still like less floodgates. And also, I guess Dweller and Scythe are going to be banned. But also, at the same time, I haven't really seen those around recently. So, yeah, no strong feelings towards those cards either way. And I am honestly more of a fan of having more cards in the pool. So, I'd rather see like cards legal and just like using card design to kind of like weed those cards out rather than just like straight up removing them. Not a big fan of that, but yeah. That's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.